Good morning, or whatever time of day it is for you, and welcome to Philosophy Live. I'm Graham Blackbourn from the Scottish branch of the School of Philosophy and Economic Science in Edinburgh. Thank you for joining me. In presenting my subject today, I'm breaking a self-imposed rule of not speaking of someone who is still living. But I hope you'll agree that he is someone eminently worthy of consideration, who should perhaps be better known. He is Sir Roger Penrose. There he is. Roger Penrose was born in 1931 in the English town of Colchester, so he's now 92 years old. His mother Margaret was a doctor, and his father Lionel a distinguished psychiatrist and geneticist. Of his three siblings, one became a theoretical physicist, one a chess grandmaster, and one a professor of cancer genetics. It was an intellectually gifted household. Penrose has a powerful ability to envisage complex spatial relationships. Martin Rees, the UK's Astronomer Royal, has said that the sheer power of his mind's eye, is Penrose's defining characteristic. As a young man, Penrose saw an exhibition by the Dutch artist M.C. Escher, famed for lithographs inspired by mathematics, which led Penrose to draw fantastic bridges and roads and an impossible triangle, which was named after him. Working with his father Lionel, Penrose developed more illusory structures, including a staircase which seemed to ascend forever around a square. These were published in the British Journal of Psychology, and a copy sent to Escher, who in turn was inspired to create a well-known lithograph, ascending and descending, including this staircase. And a year later, another, The Waterfall, on a similar theme, but incorporating a form of the Penrose triangle. Roger Penrose gained a degree in mathematics from University College, London, and pursued an academic career, ending as Rouse Ball Professor of Mathematics, now Emeritus Professor, at Oxford University, working in the fields of mathematical physics and cosmology. It's said that Penrose's work on general relativity and black holes attracted the younger Stephen Hawking to do likewise, and at times they worked together. But while Hawking was the showman, Penrose tended to shun the limelight. Nonetheless, his work is now widely recognised. He was knighted in 1994. In 2000, he was appointed by Queen Elizabeth a member of the Order of Merit, and in 2020, he was awarded a joint Nobel Prize in Physics. Now, despite some mathematical background, I confess that much of Penrose's mathematics is beyond me. But I am fascinated by his work on the place of consciousness and intelligence in the universe. In 1989, he published The Emperor's New Mind, arguing that the phenomenon of consciousness cannot be explained by any known law of physics. This was followed in 1994 by Shadows of the Mind, the book which first attracted me to Penrose. I can't hope to explain his mathematical thinking here. He uses concepts such as Turing computability and Gödel's first incompleteness theorem to demonstrate that human intelligence cannot be accounted for by algorithmic operations within the brain. In other words, the brain cannot be explained as a digital supercomputer. Later, Penrose worked with anesthesiologist Stuart Hameroff to propose that human consciousness might be accounted for by quantum gravity effects in the brain, connecting it with the universe. I'll leave you to follow that up if you wish. What I really like about Penrose is that he is prepared to stick his neck out and say things about the nature of existence and the universe, which seem to him to be plain common sense or intuitively true, even though they might be contrary to conventional scientific thinking. In his 2016 book, Fashion, Faith and Fantasy in the New Physics of the Universe, he complains that scientific thinking is held back by adherence to prevailing fashions and faith in established thinking, with few scientists prepared to risk ridicule with unconventional ideas. Recently, for example, Penrose said, It just doesn't make sense to me to say of an entity that it understands something if it's not even aware of it. But surely this is just an everyday common sense view. So why is it one which is so difficult for a scientist to say in public? And it's not just understanding which Penrose finds difficult to account for by current physics, but also values such as morality, beauty, and truth, which he considers must have some form of reality and which play a part in the way the universe is constructed. Penrose is not motivated in this thinking by any religious background. Indeed, he is a patron of the charity Humanists UK, although his biography on their website does say that he is more sympathetic to mystery and uncertainty than some atheists and humanists. Penrose is quoted as saying, "I think I would say that the universe has a purpose. It's not somehow just there by chance. Some people, I think, take the view that the universe is just there and it runs along. It's a bit like it just sort of computes, and we happen somehow, by accident, to find ourselves in this thing. But I don't think that's a very fruitful or helpful way of looking at the universe. I think that there is something much deeper about it." This thinking affects his understanding of cosmological theories. For example, he opposes modern string theory, which maintains that the universe has many dimensions beyond our usual 3 plus time. He uses mathematics to argue against string theory, and he calls this his public reason. But he also admits to a private reason for opposing it. He says that his own quantum theories, which oppose string theory, fit together so beautifully that he just can't imagine nature wouldn't have made use of them. A sentiment echoing one of Albert Einstein's when defending his theory of relativity. I rather like a hypothetical model of the whole of reality devised by Penrose, which shows the entire physical universe as one part of the whole. The sphere in the lower right of this diagram, labelled physicality. Noting how our mental world, not itself physical in nature, arises in some mysterious way from the physical brains of animals and humans, one small part of the physical world, he depicts mentality on the lower left, arising from part of physicality. And somehow from within that mental world arises understanding of universal principles, including such things as mathematical concepts, truth, and beauty, which transcend simple mentality, and which Penrose envisages as another realm, which he calls the Platonic world, at the top of the diagram. And then in turn, all of physicality emerges according to and governed by mathematical and other principles of the Platonic world. A wonderful cyclical system which, although Penrose does not claim illustrates exactly how things are, provides a more comprehensive and comprehensible model of reality than one composed merely of dead physical stuff. Penrose adds that he likes to think that in a sense the Platonic world may be the most primitive of the three, since mathematics is a kind of necessity, virtually conjuring its very self out or into existence through logic alone. But then, of course, Penrose is a mathematician. I'll close with a quotation from Penrose's Shadows of the Mind. He writes, "The very possibility of human understanding tells us something about the abilities that consciousness confers upon us. Admittedly, there are some, such as Newton or Einstein, or Archimedes, Galileo, Maxwell or Dirac, or Darwin, Leonardo da Vinci, Rembrandt, Picasso, Bach, Mozart, or Plato, or those great minds who could conceive the Iliad, or Hamlet, who seem to have more of this faculty of being able to smell out truth or beauty than is given to the rest of us. But a unity with the workings of nature is potentially present within all of us, and is revealed in our very faculties of conscious comprehension and sensitivity, so that we in turn are capable of some kind of direct access, through the Platonic quality of understanding, to the very ways in which our universe behaves, at many different levels. I do find it helpful to keep in mind Roger Penrose's larger view of reality, with not only physical and mental worlds, but also a Platonic world of truth, beauty, and other fine principles. And also his appeal to us not to limit our minds by current conventions and fashion, but to use our intelligence and learn to smell out truth and beauty. So here's how philosophy might help us today. And thank you. There's no Philosophy Live next week, which is our half-term break, but we'll be back in a fortnight at the same time on both Facebook and YouTube. We hope to see you then for a new philosophical gem. Thanks again, have a good day, and enjoy your weekend.